Hey guys, Von Fry here with another Netflix commentary track. This time, we're covering Back to the Future, Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. So if you'd like to cue this up and listen alongside your viewing of Back to the Future, Part 2 on Netflix, go ahead and go to 0000 and hit play now. Rated PG. The old-timey Universal logo right here. Good time to remind you to smash that like button, hit subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, maybe sign up for my Patreon, and just hand over your credit card. Steven Spielberg presents. It was so imperative for Steven Spielberg to make sure he got the credit first, right? Big Steven Spielberg presents, right? There are people out there who do that kind of thing. Spike Lee presents after he sees a movie at a festival, slaps presents on top of it. This being a studio film, not the same thing, but what we're watching here, they're going to recreate the ending of Back to the Future because we have second Jennifer, Elizabeth Shue. Goodbye, Claudia Wells. Frankly, I would say a bit of a downgrade, though, most people would not kick Elizabeth Shue out of the bed. Let's see. So that was shots from the first film right there. We had Crispin Glover, though there was a lawsuit. Because it's like, hey, I'm appearing in this movie. I'm not actually in. I didn't get the money for it. Oh, we'll use archival shots. Oh, this is a pretty good recreation of the first film for these purposes here, as we had Doc Brown shows up. He goes through the trash. There's the Mr. Fusion, right? Because it'd be called Keurig now, right? Gotta wonder what his sunglasses look like if he can actually see through that. Just metal. He also has Japanese text on his shirt. The concept for the future of 2015, pretty heavy with Japan. There's a Japanese boss for Marty. Fax machines are a bigger deal. Didn't really quite realize the internet. A lot of distractions when it comes to media. A lot of looking at several screens at once. That's somewhat accurate. We don't need roads. Yeah, okay. This little bit's added. Not what we're seeing here is not in the 85 film. A different shot of the DeLorean taking off. It looked better. There we go. That's the 85 shot. I mean, that looks fine. From the profile view, maybe not quite as good, but I would not complain much. Flying cars look worse now in most applications. Blade Runner 20, what number was it? 40 some? Back to the Future, Part 2, right? We're going to fly through the clouds here, take a look at the skylines of Hill Valley in the future of 2015. There was a lot of effort to make what was possible at the last minute achievable for 2015, for when this Back to the Future day. Pepsi came out with the drink that looked like what was shown here. Nike tried to get the power laces thing going haphazardly. It's like, okay, there's only one person in New York City with power laces, and it's Michael J. Fox. They did later roll out some power lace shoes that look different. I'm trying to think if you can get those right now, given the current situation. Oh, yes, there we go. Steven Spielberg, Frank Marshall, Kathleen Kennedy. But Steven Spielberg, let's make sure he gets the credit at the front of the movie before anybody else. Directed by Robert Zemeckis, who has a mighty good track record. It's also, given the success of these movies, it's surprising that he's not the one known for bringing 3D to the theaters, right? He did the Beowulf way before Avatar. Flying taxi cabs, yeah, it looks pretty nice. this version of the DeLorean is used for many years. The Back to the Future, the ride, Universal Studios replaced, essentially reworked into a Simpsons themed ride, I think around the time of the Simpsons movie. October 21st, 2015. Although we would say 2015, wouldn't we? These are people who are not used to saying 20 when it comes to a date. She's getting a little delusional. She's taking in too much. We're going to have to sedate her. Oh, look, it's Neuralizer. No one should know too much about their future, although I did. I don't really think that what happens to Marty's kids is necessarily bad enough to intervene. Maybe it was a punishment didn't fit the crime scenario. Yeah, okay, the colors are a little off on the Flying DeLorean. We get it. And right there, yep, we're going to switch over and have an actual DeLorean. If that was done with CGI, it would be much more noticeable. CGI in the 80s, guys. We're talking some textures that really needed work. Wait 5 more seconds. That always makes me wonder, did he know when the absolutely amazing, okay, isn't as efficient as the weather service. So in 2015, the rain is on a cycle and you can order it apparently. Or rather the city does. There will be a lot of cars in the background that are from other films. You'll see stuff from Blade Runner. So I think what he did here, he got this skin peel treatment thing. He also had spleen and colon replaced. And he basically took off the rubber cement application that was giving him the wrinkles for the 80s Doc Brown. So now he's essentially looks like 1950s Doc Brown. You can see around the chin, he doesn't have the wrinkles. I'll tell you, if you didn't see this movie in HD, I don't think you would have picked up on the makeup changes for him because his hair otherwise stayed the same. Footwear. I think when you got the auction for the power laces stuff, there were various times Nike tried to do some kind of giveaway with the power lacing shoes. It might have given you that container to. I have a phone booth, something we don't have anymore. Oh, cool. Power laces. All right. Doc, this is heavy. The fashionable way to go about the sneakers, the high tops, right? You put your jeans tucked in. No one really tried to do anything with the jacket here. Was this a Nike jacket? And the hat. I think you could get those hats at Comic-Con 2015. The Pepsi that you'll see come up at Cafe 80s was given away to people who dressed as Marty McFly at Comic-Con. The Pepsi people would just hand them to you. Look at all the recycled stuff here. Look, we got recycled CDs and laser discs. It says caution silicone. I don't know what if that's too much to be concerned about. Now, we're not going to leave her in the car. We're going to put her someplace so that she'll behave as sort of a human MacGuffin, and we'll have to locate her later. Youth jailed. Oh no, arrested. Arrested for theft. Really worth intervening? intervening. Martin McFly Jr. Oh, wait, so Marty's short for Martin? Have you ever met a McFly? Also, I don't think that these movies did for the name Emmett or Marty what one would have hoped. Already went further ahead in time to see what happens. Everything wrong with your family can be backtracked to this one incident. Now, Marty Jr. will be played by Michael J. Fox. To my surprise, and it wasn't until I had more recently seen some of this movie, he has a daughter also played by Michael J. Fox under makeup, though I hadn't really picked up on it before. I think with a different voice dubbed over. They don't have Michael J. Fox doing the female voice, but here we go. Oh, yeah, all those bright colors of 2015, guys. Remember that 5 years ago? A fax box. Yeah, that's going to be a thing. Yeah, I don't mind the landscaping. This was a future I think that would have been better than the future we got. I don't see a rash of crimes. Like, I mean, hell, anywhere you go, it would seem like something bad could happen to you, right? It's a terrible looking Fox body Mustang, but they wouldn't know what a new Mustang would look like. Texaco getting their product placement in. Hey. Holomax Jaws 19. This time it's, what, really personal? And that would be an example of what CGI would look like in the 80s, guys. Now, granted, that was not the most massaged example. Oh, look, we have some like protesters in the street yonder. Now, the Jaws 19 gag, there were several Jaws sequels by the time of this movie. So it'd be kind of like, oh, what if they just kept going with it? At the time, that probably seemed like one of the more likely franchises to be continuing in that way. There's a Jaws LJN game. Looks like it's been set out in the sun. All this stuff's browned over, maybe dyed. No one dresses anything like what we see in the movie. I do think they got a few things right here. The obsession with 1980s pop culture was definitely at peak in 2015. We have a max headroom like display here, though it wouldn't necessarily need to show a glitch. I see JVC branding. Okay, so it's supposed to be everybody's on the bikes there because it's a, hey, in the 80s people were fit. There was a little obsession with aerobics. These are world leaders feuding at the time, as was Iran and America at it right there. Want a Pepsi, and here we go. I wonder if in 5 years, that probably tastes pretty bad now, that Pepsi, doesn't it? Oh, it's OG Biff. Yeah, I always hang out in cafes. It doesn't matter the decade. Mr. Loser. And here we go, people in the background. What's kind of remarkable about this shot here is that this is achieved. You have what's his name, Thomas Wilson. He plays Biff and Griff in the same frame, in the same shot, and it's set up using motion control computer cameras. This is the first movie to use this, which allows people to interact with each other, played by one actor playing multiple parts in a scene with moving cameras. So it'll look more fluid. Now, of course, when they actually touch, you want to change actors. There is an awkward little switcheroo later in the film when they're in a car having an exchange. Wild Gunman, Nintendo. Look at that. The kid with the green hat right there, one closest to Marty. That is Elijah Wood, first on-screen appearance, debut. Which would also be his first on-screen appearance. How old is Elijah Wood now? About 40? Gosh. Cafe 80s is what everybody's 50s diner looks like now. When someone does a 50s theme diner, they try too hard with the 50s-ness, end up creating something that was not like what was available in the 50s. And that's the joke here. In 1989, everybody knows what the 80s looks like, and it doesn't look like what we're seeing here. Now, Griff behaves more erratically than Biff. There's some kind of cybernetic element to it. There's something about upgrades. Can you make himself taller? I don't know. It's also a bit goofier. Him and his gang are so over the top. I don't think you would find intimidating toughs acting this way. It's amazing how all the people who interact with the McFlys, they stay in the same area forever, don't they? No one ever leaves. No one's from anywhere else. Just Biff McFly forever. Tannen, right? Biff Tannen. Don't recognize all of his gang. Darlene Vogel, she was on Pacific Blue. Cops on Bicycle Show on USA. Uh-oh, you chicken? Oh, I know what to say. I can't read the bat, but the idea is that we have a futuristic bat, right? And here we are. We got... Yeah, there's like a sound effect to it to suggest that he has something making him taller. Biff with the detailing still, huh? Nice detail, actually. All right, we're going to do another version of our skateboard maneuver. Only this time we have a hoverboard. And it's interesting how with this film, a lot of the stuff people know for Back to the Future 4 come from this movie. Hey, the power lace of the sneakers from Back to the Future. People will erroneously say, oh, it's the shoes from Back to the Future. The hoverboard from Back to the Future. Back to the Future Part 2. Get it right. Now, though, when they throw the board on the ground, that's obviously a composite shot, but a lot of this other stuff is done practically with a bunch of wires. Though it's certainly less glamorous when you see how they did it. It's not like anything is pulling the board, it's the actor getting pulled around, and then they have a board on their foot. No Billy Zane. Yeah, now we gotta go. Unless you got power. Right? All right, so we need to get my board over here. So previous Biff would not have been a skateboard enthusiast, but I guess in 2015, everybody knows how to use a hoverboard, right? There we go. You know, I could see that effect looking worse today, actually. Strap on. Yeah, this is a disaster in the making. There were a few efforts to try to get an actual hoverboard going. We had things we called hoverboards. They were not. There was no hover to it. Lexus put together a hoverboard that it had some onboard cooling that it required refueling with, was it liquid nitrogen or dry ice or something, and it basically just electromagnet reverse polarity skated across embedded surface below the surface of a skate park. It looked cooler than practical purpose, but you know, people were trying to get in their little promotion. Oh, hey, well, we don't have the Delorean from the movie, but we got the Toyota Mirai. Let's get Michael J. Fox, Christopher. Oh, don't I said Fox, and I got the menus from the game machine. I want to go away. Come on. Yeah, you don't need your jacket talking to you. I don't know what her headgear does for her, but it looks like it plays a disc. Still going to have pushy adults in the future trying to get you to sign things. That's accurate. Sign petition for this. Yep. The Cubs win the World Series. They could not make that a reality, but I think it was the next year they did. They were just 1 year off. Oh, you got an idea here to make some money? We go back and put some money on the Cubbies, 101 odds. Yeah, hey, that's brilliant. Yeah, it's that sports almanac, and I have a time machine, so yeah, we can make use of that. Dust repellent paper. No need for dust repellent paper when you don't need paper, right? I'll park over there. Sure you will. Flying DeLorean. Haven't seen one of those in 30 years. Yeah. Now I remember that I saw something flying when I was coming outside of the McFly house, and yeah, there we go. What is that, like the future of Ford Probe right there? Kind of done up. Was that a line needed? I left Einstein in a suspended kennel. He never even knew I left. Great Scott. Average Scott, if you will. It's changing. And gang jailed. Hoverboard rampage. The tracking on that wasn't spot on, but he's got a little handheld device, but it is not a phone, now is it? Proof that we've succeeded. Let's get Jennifer and go home. End of movie, guys. Yep. Yeah, it's like I tell people, you don't have to invent the time machine to reap the benefits of it. Who gains the most out of Doc Brown's hard work? Marty McFly. No, I guess because ultimately Doc Brown has the last remaining time machine. In a way, the train. There's no telling what kind of stuff he accomplished, you know, after the fact. Check out the super friendly police gear here. It looked kind of like they came out of a video game, a bit of that kind of cosplay. Well, we don't need her meeting her future self, do we? Yes, Marty, in the future, you still live in Hill Valley. Do we have a Great Scott counter? If they put her into shock and she'd pass out, that's the good one. Or two, encounter a paradox which could cause a chain reaction, unravel the fabric of space-time continuum, and destroy the entire universe. And there we go. In the background, we have the police car taken off. Yeah, I like the look of that, really. I know it looks fake. It's just a brand of fake that I find appealing. I invented a time machine to travel through time, not to gamble. Specifically to travel through time. Gosh, old Biff really gets around, doesn't he? He's just where he needs to be at the right time. That's not the friendliest looking neighborhood. Though we'll see much worse. Nothing but a breeding ground for Tranks, Lobos. It's like, huh? Oh, the degenerates of the day. Our cops never got the stun baton that glows. Would someone say be careful in the future? Be careful next time, right? Beautiful views in not high definition. The TV did get bigger. They were right about that. Is it considered in movie a projection unit? I don't think so. I think that, of course, they use projection to make the screen big. It's probably a rear projection type deal, which is not the way anybody's TV functions now, but we did end up getting larger TVs. Where are we going to hide? That's Michael J. Fox with makeup. There's keep forgetting her name. Not Crispin Glover hanging upside down. Do you need Einstein? You probably could have just left him someplace. Hey, poor Einstein, aside from actually being the first to use, is serving as like a test monkey. It doesn't have a function for the rest of the films. Marlene. There we go. Yeah, Marlene's Michael J. Fox. What is going on here? Yeah, remember in 2015 when you got in like a car accident and you'd have to go upside down? No landing, and yet they land. Yeah, well, you thought Hilldale was cool in the 80s. Now it's where the cheap homes are. The address of Suck. Cabs. Cabs got essentially usurped by, hey, you own a car and you want to become your own cab? Thumbnail, or well, what was it? Thumbprint Pay? Apple Pay, kind of like, in a way, huh? Not paying with a cash exchange. There was some foresight there, I guess. Why not go back and fix this Rolls Royce accident, Doc? Your dad wouldn't have quit playing music. Everything would have worked out. Come on now. That's the incident you should have fixed. JVC with the television again. Can you get a JVC TV today? Seems like just about everybody ends up with a Samsung or what is their TCL? Like, there's always like some kind of merger thing out somewhere in South Korea making some kind of new group every once in a while. Vizio, Sony. I'm watching on a Panasonic, and I think even that, it's not really a Panasonic anymore. It's kind of like farmed out, and they put a different brand on it for different people. At one point, I think it was Pioneer with the last one making the plasma screens. I'm not sure if they still are today or not. Yeah, I'll just leave this door open and stealth Biff will just take off. Yeah, he knows how to fly this thing. Kinda. You can see the black outline around the debris, the car taking off. All that stuff is not actually there in the first plate. That for the background, the food hydrator, Black and Decker, power tool company making household appliances, huh? Man, that is a pristine looking pizza, and they didn't even have to slice it. How did you heat that up or make it larger without the cheese fusing together and needing to be sliced? We have 3 Michael J. Foxes in one shot here. And this is done really quite convincingly. You don't see a lot in the way of like thick outlines around them because they're using that motion control camera. And it's really only the points of where they intersect are you're going to have an issue. There were some people who had their TV set up where it would notify you got a phone call from your landline, right? And you get the thing interrupting your TV. Needles there is Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers. Tried watching a movie that he was in called Suburbia, I think 1983. Unfortunately, the version on Amazon Prime, it was like a VHS rip. Say what you will about Netflix, but at least everything is high definition at this point, right? I mean, it would specify if it wasn't, I would assume. Nobody calls me chicken. I don't think the chicken thing really stuck up to 2015, unless everybody knew specifically that's how you get Marty McFly to do stuff. I think we could do a little better job with the makeup, the old age makeup on Michael here, couldn't we? He looks a bit plastic. Instantly, his boss. I was monitoring that scan you just interfaced. Yeah. You're terminated, uh-huh. You know how Japan just so has their thumb over the pulse of America right now? Or rather, 5 years ago? Read my fax. You're fired. Yeah. All these fax machines. Do you even have a fax machine in your house? I'm curious if Jennifer actually knows Doc Brown. Oh, Doc, glad to see you. Okay, you ran his car for a couple minutes and he sedated you, and you're glad to see him? You're telling me at some point Marty McFly was a successful magician and he still lives in Hill Valley? Uh-oh. Two Elizabeth shoes. Major freak out. Biff shrewdly parks the car back where it was, covers his tracks. We'll learn later what he was up to. Oh, not quite covered enough. He broke his cane. Too much trouble. Gotta destroy it. This one incident proves the risks are too great. We could end up with a situation where the time continuum unravels. Yeah, that's it. My only regret is I'll never get a chance to visit my favorite historical era, the Old West. Laying the groundwork for part 3. Something somewhat trend-setting for these movies was the shot back-to-back idea of, hey, the first one's so successful we can make more of them in a more economical fashion. We'll shoot them back to back, kind of spread out that budget. I think this one comes out 89. I think Back to the Future Part 3 came out early 90. It's a plane. We're in 1985. But we will soon find that it's a little bit different. That street lamp pole served as a somewhat hidden transition line, sort of like the garbage mat for putting in the actual DeLorean and the faux model that flew in. Oh, okay. Maybe they used full size and lowered it in a big enough room. Possibility. Check out Doc's shirt. He's got a steam engine. Foreshadowing. Yeah, why do we got bars on the windows now? Oh yeah, this doesn't look good at all, guys. Oh, you know it's bad when you have packs of wild dogs. You know, you saw that giant tower in the first movie too, kind of giving you the impression that maybe they're running a radio station out of his house. It looks so close. Huh, that's weird. We lock stuff up. Oh, out of context, this breaking into other people's home stuff would not fly so well, would it? So that people have moved slightly, change of address. In this kid's room, they really like the Michael Jackson. Dad, a guy broke into my room. It doesn't mean I want you to wreck all my stuff. Yeah, it's got to be pretty rough when you leave a crashed cop car on the site. Why'd you get overwhelmed by gang activity? That's a Citroen on fire. The implication of homicide without the violence being shown on screen. Pretty light movies. We don't have a lot in the way of death depicted, do we? In 3 films. It's not the wrong year. You're in a skewed timeline. Biff's gambling has brought crime to the area. Indirectly, but nonetheless. Oh, yeah, we get our principal in here. So, was this guy waiting for someone to get to his house? And if so, why keep the jammies? But then throw on the bulletproof vest and all this other stuff. I mean, if you're waiting for someone to get there, because it's not like Marty was hanging out at his house and then, okay, I'm going to get some stuff on. Drive-by shootings never looked like that. Ah, yes, everybody's got to be a slacker to Mr. Strickland. There was a scene here that didn't make the cut in which Marty runs across his brother, who is one of these kind of strung out bums in front of the casino. There was a change of music in the series too. I'm trying to recall at what point this happens. I think it's with this movie they lose Huey Lewis in the News and pick up. I don't recognize this song. Is this ZZ Top? ZZ Top's definitely in part 3. 55. It's shoot. The guy that took on the guy that took over singing duties for Van Halen. I forgot his name. Jeez. I don't know. Maybe this one isn't as tied as with the music. Got to get back in time. I don't think we'll hear that song in part 2. I could be wrong. It might play at the end. Buford Mad Dog Tannen laying the groundwork for part 3. Just wins all the time, huh? And people just so happen to get a picture of you holding the sports almanac from the future. Biffco. Look how he puts his name on stuff. There's something also with his appearance, the hair, maybe not necessarily the mutton chops. But the concept here is that he is a loosely based on Donald Trump, and I have to wonder how notorious was Donald Trump in the 1980s, in the late 80s. See, I'm not so sure. Was he most of his outfits East Coast, right? There's Billy Zane on the left. Billy Zane with the big cowboy hat. Who he looks like here? He looks like the sportscaster from Anchorman. Forgot his name. Mom, is that you? Yeah, I've had some upgrades. Now, this is the kind of chess piece people suspect Ricardo Montalban had, where it's like, okay, you have the necklace which divides, which is the separation line between the prosthetic and the body. So we'll see if she looks fairly plasticine. You're so big. And I think it's, if I remember right, it said his dad was killed. And that Biff did it. The Sports Almanac would be no good after 2000. How would his businesses hold on? Kind of like to see how this timeline would continue. He's a butthead, slacker. We want to stick with our name calling. Chicken, right? Oh, we still have the guy with the 3D glasses is kind of changed the glasses around a bit, but there's still one dark lens, one red. These things. I kind of think in some way this movie gave the breast augmentation a bad name, like set it back, like, oh, you don't want to turn out like Lorraine from Back to the Future Part 2. Just like your brother Joey, the threat of going to jail. Anybody ever write some brother Joey fan fiction? Where are you going for an hour, Biff? He was right, and I was the denial. Yes. He deserves our respect. Respect. Leave Dad. I guess Marty of this 1985 version must look pretty similar to the Marty from the other timeline. Past 12 years, same place. Oh, we're going to cue the dramatic thunder. Do we need to go out there and see this? Not really. Yeah, you probably could have just taken her word for it, honestly. "1973, died." If that's the case, we're going to say 17, maybe 18. 1983. I mean, most of his life, Biff has been his father figure. What was Doc's experience like figuring out this was the wrong timeline? We don't have cell phones, but I'll make a pretty good guess about where you're going to be so I can track you down for the convenience of the film. Well, at least your lab wasn't completely condemned. Uh, you have something to operate out of. Man, how do you punch a hole out of the corner in blackboard? Like, how? What accident causes that? Alternate 1985. Many of the rules for time travel seem to come from Back to the Future, of the perceived fictional time travel. It's almost like this is Asimov's robotic laws presented to the audience for time travel. The cane that maybe you'll recognize. He got the sports book, stole the time machine. I don't think plastic bags, as shown here, are going to be sticking around much longer. People really have a lot of issues with the plastic bags. Khrushchev becomes Soviet premier. Check out his pocket almanac. No one wants to raise any questions about that, huh? No reporter's going to point that out. He was listening when like I said, Biff is magically omnipresent. More evidence why the time machine must be destroyed. We travel into the future from this point. It'll be a different future based on this one. Probably an even scummier place. So we have to go back to the past. Crackpot inventor. Einstein raises up to read the newspaper, seemingly. Well, our reality's a little different. We already bettered it, so kind of seems like what they should do is come full circle and go to the original timeline and not the one at the end of the first film. Fistful of Dollars. I have not seen all of this, or if I have, it's been longer than I can recall. Showing this movie here will also lay the seeds for future reference work and foreshadowing in the next movie. The guy's brilliant, right? They look like 80s girls. They got the 80s girl hair. Hair and makeup does not look like that these days, does it? Ah, so you figured it out. All right, ladies, scram. Well, now I gotta kill you because you know too much. Look at that desk. Look at the gold painting of himself. This is Donald Trump. That's what they were aiming for. This day I went back. Hill Valley Lightning Storm. Yeah, that's it. You know your history. Because I rolled it in a drag race. Actually, I thought you crashed into a manure truck. You do know your history. Father told me that when I was 2 or 3. Yeah, okay. Says he doesn't really don't see resemblance. It's you. Now I wonder if the Sports Almanac actively updates as the photograph did in the 85 film, showing the condition of sort of the winning condition. Okay, you've said everything right. The siblings are alive, and you know, oh no, your hand's fading there. Now you're losing your hand here too. If you make it a change, does Mike Tyson lose a match? And but it live updates for you, so you can know maybe just before the bout. Grab some Biff matches. Can't remember what he does with those. Another thing. Here's the curious part. The old Biff says that a young Michael J. Fox will show up to tell you about this, and then you're going to have to kill him. So that changes the rules about the way the movie, the time works in the films than maybe one could think. That future Biff going back had the memories of a Biff of a different timeline, that to know that Michael J. Fox was going to cause Marty McFly would come and ask about the almanac. Okay, how weird are these stairs? Side by side stairs, so to get to that floor you need to actually jump over the staircase to get to the between floor. This is probably the darkest of the Back to the Future trilogy. You have the crime implications, chasing around with the guns, things. It's not the sugary sweet, everything neat 1950s callback. You think at the time in 1985, there's people going to this movie, well, the first movie, getting a bit of that relive your childhood moments of the 50s. You can't relive fictional alternate 1985 or future 2015. It won't have that kind of appeal. He still has a gun. Maybe you could just kind of take it off a little more. You're really banking on that gull wing door hitting him, which those things don't open out very far. There's a misconception about the gull wing door on the DeLorean. You could park that mighty close to another car and get out fine. Much better than you could in a conventional door. How on earth did old Biff know how to work this stuff? That's an amazing coincidence. Yeah, a bit of a lampshade hanging moment there to just say, yeah, amazing coincidence that old Biff did this. Yeah. There's something acting up with the time machine, too. We can leave her here and it'll shift. It won't matter because we'll go to another timeline where she is. It kind of makes it seem like you're in a way killing off or abandoning a version of Einstein and Jennifer. I wonder if they would have had the DeLorean from the 85 film still parked behind this billboard at this time of which they've shown up. I guess they could have moved it and had it under wraps and stuff in the garage by now. What is he looking around for? Why is he running all these directions? I carry around money for different times. '50s clothes, baby. And he looks pretty sharp, I think. Only tannin in the book. And they don't look friendly. Keep off the grass. Fathers be prosecuted. This means you. Go to my car, Grandma. Ugh. Oh, these kids. You want your ball? Yeah, okay. That being quite the bouncy ball, I wonder how many shots it took for him to actually land that. Mr. Sandman again. Yep. Well, what did it cost to get these kind of repairs? $302.57 to clean out the manure. That is a lot of dough in 55. $80 to haul it away. Like, wow. Oh, he wasn't paying attention. He missed Marty jumping in. All right, you paid the money. You also get some Valvoline. That kind of hurt. You got Valvoline landing on your crotch. New stuff. More new things, of course. Biff here, but also Lorraine new scenes. There will be a lot of archival footage from the 85 film showing up in this. It does look a little grainier than the 2 and 3, but I mean, this is one of the unblemished trilogies. There's not a lot you can possibly name for unblemished trilogies or franchises in Hollywood. I don't think that part 2 or 3 are as good as the original, but they're not bad. You're going with Calvin Klein? You still know him as Calvin Klein, huh? I'm gonna be your girl. Even if you had $1 million, oh, I'm gonna get more than $1 million. That'll teach you. I don't think you could hit him over the head with the box from a dress to do much. There are movies where the abusive guy yells at the girl, "I'm gonna marry you," and he might actually be the good guy, or at least the protagonist. I think they might have used the frame around that car as sort of a garbage mat area. Okay, you can see there will be a weird moment here. Now, see, he's turned around backwards. Different actor. No real reason to be doing that. But see, if you have a static line someplace, you can overlap these a little more effectively. Because even though they could motion control, get the computer to use the camera, you have a tough time timing the car going the same speed the same way. So it's better off to just have two separate actors in the car. Now you need someone else to hit him in the head, and you switch that out. There you go. You could see that he flipped that book, and the book had a chroma key type mat around it. It didn't look like typical book flying. Believe it or not, there are movies that could do this worse. Everybody get in a giant green room. Watch this, kid. There just so happens to be a game on right now. Bet on the winner and you'll never lose. Now that's some great advice. Always bet on the winner, kids. No, you don't have a safe. I would know because I'm you. Don't tell anybody about it. Also, there's one more thing. One day a kid, or a crazy-eyed old man claimed to be a scientist, is going to come around asking about it. So does he actually know, like he has the memories of a different timeline Biff to know that that will happen? How weird. Oh, I had a little hiccup with recording device, but I think everything is on track. You might be a couple seconds ahead of me, guys. Doc, he shuts the thing. Perfect. Right, I said perfect right when the caption was there, so that's all I could tell you. I used this Audacity on a 13-year-old computer, and it said error, but it was still going, so I didn't have to like restart anything. But I did pause the film for a sec. I probably honestly shouldn't have. Hanging out in the car. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Narrow driveway, baby. Oh, it's that crazy old man we need to be watching out for. Oh, he's in the car. That's where he is. Great Scott. Is this where he spots his future self? Oh, it's the experiment. See, to him, this experiment was over 30 years ago. To this Doc Brown. No way on earth Biff can't hear this. Though, you have to consider that older convertibles, there was a lot of wind buffering. Maybe there's a shot at that he wouldn't hear the guy talking behind him. There are cars more modern than that one where you can't hear the passenger talk when you get up to speed in your convertible. Heavy, Marty, whatever. Hey, you in the hats. All right, now how do they do this handoff here? See, we're hiding things. That would be somebody else's hand comes out from behind the pole. When says there's going to be rain? Oh, there'll be rain, right? Thunder, wind, lightning, yeah. I kind of think they could have done more to differentiate Doc Brown from the 50s. Did his hair need to be white the whole time? Yeah, get hold of my almanac. Okay, at this point, we're going to start seeing clips from the 85 film put in here, and they will be, there'll be like a stronger contrast, grainier look. I think that might have been a rotoscoped Crispin Glover walking by. That looked a little different. But there will be parts where it is verbatim shots. Now it's interesting that this Marty has a mission to stay out of the way, but also he has to stop Biff without interfering with his parents and other Marty, whom to him is Marty of, what, 2 days ago maybe? There's a move that Michael J. Fox pulls off here that I just find incredibly dangerous. This jump down the staircase, landing on a staircase from a jump. Especially if your feet are not landing on the same step. It would be so hard to pull off. Dangerous, and probably not letting a star do that these days. Here we go. Look at that. Was that okay? Was that a? It might have been a stuntman on the jump. You know, there is the hat there obscuring. Still, would not attempt. I'm surprised. Couldn't you get in a punishment where you're banned from a dance? I think that's a possibility, right? I wonder, did people say slacker in 1955? See, I wasn't around, so I couldn't really tell you. Man, they sure get the most out of that motion control camera, don't they, to duplicate the actors. Certainly of this franchise, this is the one that has the most fun with the time travel element. The first movie, the time travel is a conduit to get you to experience how your parents met. In this film, it's undoing mistakes, seeing a butterfly effect of how more things happen. You have to try to go back to fix more problems. Seeing how a seemingly not an innocent mistake, but one with the right knowledge could change the future. All kinds of stuff. People ain't supposed to see what I got in this coffee cup. don't say a word, Michael. And there, eat your hat. Yep, uh-huh. And thankfully, he just throws it in the trash, not realizing what it is he had. What? He replaced it. That was a bit of a wonky edit right there where we cut away from Ooh La La and it was only like a frame or two long. It was awkward. It's awkward to have cuts that quick. Then give people time to take in what they're looking at. Okay, so trying to think what they did here. I think that might be not Crispin Glover reenacting the fight. And clearly we're watching 1985 film when he socked him turn around. And here we are again, OG. So there's definitely a point to be made that Crispin Glover is appearing in this film in ways in which he was uh, not being paid. Got to search the body. CPR may not have been a thing in 1985. He just took that guy's wallet. No, that'd be an awkward sized wallet right there. Did anyone ever have walkie-talkies with considerable range? I mean, we'd have a toy walkie-talkie. Could work in the house with another one in the house. Why not just yell at each other? Oh no, pulled away some of those flags. All right, everything's on track, Marty. Come on. What's the next step for Marty here? Oh no, you can't stop him from inventing rock and roll. And it's not like if you watch the 1985 film, there'll be a thud at some point in the background explained later. This was not planned out in that fashion. Ten four, good buddy. You see, it seems to be telling the audience he thinks he took it. Wait, yeah, we know. Yeah, background guy suddenly really concerned about wallets. I wonder how imperative it is that he stops Biff's gang from foiling Rock. I mean, they're waiting patiently, right? I guess he still needs to get this Marty on the timetable to go back to finish the movie the way things had finished, right? So that for that reason, you need him not getting roughed up. Hey, you know that sound you're looking for? Check this out, right? Imagine a Back to the Future 1985, well, a Back to the Future game where all of the things you do have some kind of bearing. Now they keyed that. You could see the foreground Michael J. Fox looking a bit different there. Yeah. Ooh, hit him again. Is that stuff heavy enough to have that kind of consequence? I would need to see that shot again of how they walked over to each other. I think they recreated that. Now we're seeing some some of the movie, but kind of repositioned in the frame. No, that you could see that guy. That's not Crispin Glover. That's the not Crispin Glover has quite a bit of stuff on his face to have a kind of muscular face look. So that wasn't repositioned shot, put into some kind of mat, but it was a recreated thing for this movie. So there's really not that many shots from the 1985 film showing up in this. Uh-oh. Your own worst enemy. Ugh. Was that a kick to the face? Oh no, you gotta catch up with them. I think you have plenty of time to catch Biff here. You don't need to be out of here by the time the other pair finishes the lightning experiment. Well, time travel. 46 Ford, that's what he has. Did the Mythbusters ever need to check that out though? You drop a DeLorean on a 46 Ford and see if it crumbles like tinfoil. Thankfully, we picked up a little something from 2015. Barbie hoverboard. Too oblivious to know people are right behind him, let alone somebody's jumped on the back of his car. Yeah, college football action, eh? Is he just too young to have any money on this yet? He's got to wait a little while till he can get in on the action, or did they not have those kind of laws stopping gambling? To what is it supposed to be 21? So maybe that hadn't come into effect yet. Though at this time there were so many laws preventing gambling of all kinds in many states. It made it to where you had to go to Las Vegas to gamble. Oh, now he sees him double take. You gimme. The hoverboard really making the cause easier for Marty here. Otherwise, we'd probably have a tougher time holding that door. We'll get a real cool shot where he's like, it's like the hoverboard, he's going up the tunnel. Here we go. One narrow tunnel. Like a one-lane tunnel job. Gonna act like I don't see him and get ready to sock him. Oh, okay. Look, that looks a little narrow to be two lanes of traffic, doesn't it? I mean, there we go. Oh yeah, that's cool. Cool shot right there. Landing 1 foot. Yep, you definitely sold everybody on the hoverboard. This movie really, the hoverboard was not a thing prior to this. One can make the case that Silver Surfer has a galactic surfboard, similar function, much larger. It wasn't like something that people were looking to achieve. But this, everybody wants a hoverboard, and there have got to be outfits looking to try to actually make them. Because if you got this worked up, this movie is all you need as promotional material. No, they use it some in part 3, but not that anybody remembers it. Back to the Future Part 2 is the hoverboard movie. Oh, he should have been able to catch up, and it's a good thing we have that flags. We got, yep. Dude, I guarantee you that stuff's not easy to hold on to. It's not a rope. Like, it's plastic. Your hands slide right through that. Once again with the manure. Always the manure. I think it's by the third movie. I hate manure, right? Or is it this one already? Because he's already hit it once before. You gotta drop him off. I would guess to pull off that move, Michael J. Fox would have to try to keep his 1 foot at a certain height above the ground to give the impression as he's touching down with the other foot that 1 foot is being held up by the hoverboard. Burn it. Good thing there's this, I don't know what this little bucket's doing here, but it's there. We got Biff's matches. That's it. That's what we're using them for. We snagged the matches. Now we're using them here. Though what one doesn't need to see that he did that. We could think, okay, so he had some matches on him. But here we go. This is like your photograph from the first movie. Auto detailing. That's what you're supposed to be doing, Biff. McFly murdered to honored with the same photo. Right. Commended instead of committed. Yes, On the same day that something bad would have happened to you, that was when something good was supposed to happen. It was supposed to make the headlines that day over other people's lives. Almost bought the farm. Possible foreshadowing. Oh no. And it looks like it says 99 backwards, just up in the air right there. Because typically when it goes back in time, it will make fire in the path of the tires. Even when it was in the sky at the beginning of this movie. Oh no. The flags didn't make it. Oh, well, that does look like rope, actually. Oh, if I'm not mistaken, was this Western Union that shows up? You're Marty McFly, right? I was given particular instructions. Could you get couriers to do this kind of thing? This would be a really great spot for a celebrity cameo type scenario, right? Uh-oh. Is this a sequel bait ending, guys? I mean, it feels like they accomplished something, though. I mean, we got rid of the sports almanac. We've set everything together. But now we have to go rescue Doc Brown. Kind of hoping maybe you could shed some light on the subject. This envelope's been in our possession for 70 years. Doesn't Western Union just transfer money now? Do they still handle things like this, or I don't know. Are they in business now? We had a bet going. Looks like I lost. Okay, I don't think he knows who that is. Do you need to share the information with him? Could be dangerous letting Western Union know about this. Okay, he's all right. We got it. He's alive. Yeah, we still have access to this Doc Brown to help you. Down, 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 down. And of course, yeah, now this part where we are watching a lot of 1985 movie. It must have worked, right? We've seen this before. It kind of brings to mind a scene in The Big Bang Theory where Sheldon and Leonard meet. This is years later into the series flashback episode, and they agree that if, in their roommate agreement, that if either of them invent time travel, they'll come to this place right now to show the proof or whatever. And like, okay, agreed. And they wait for a couple seconds. All right, well, that's disappointing. No, no, Doc, it's a different Marty. That's how things work now. Great Scott counter. This has got to be like a movie record for Great Scots. Had to be at least 5. At least 4. At least 4, right? To be concluded. And then it'll actually show you like a teaser trailer for part 3 at the end of the movie. Interesting. Not the sort of thing that one would see done before or so much since. Mary Steenburgen. There's ZZ Top. I mean, to put this at the end of the movie, you'd have to think both of them are in the can. Coming summer 1990. I was right. Giggity. Oh man, you feel kind of bad for Leah Thompson gradually getting shoved down in the film. Hardly even in part 3. Well, guys, there you go. Back to the Future Part 2. I hope if you were watching along on the Netflix that I didn't get too far off in with the commentary being out of sync and all that stuff. What do you like most about this movie compared to the others? Do you think this one has a strength that maybe it holds over the 1985 film? Let me know in the comments below. I'll see you guys next time when I conclude the Back to the Future saga with Back to the Future Part 3.